Hello and welcome to Fair Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's preview, a lot of Pumas versus the All Blacks, Argentina versus New Zealand in Argentina. And Argentina was playing a bit of a bogey side for New Zealand. They have beaten them a couple of times in the last few years. And yet this is the first time they played them at home in a very long time. And it'll be interesting to see what that sort of mean. Because I think there's a certain amount of block that the All Blacks have to sort of start getting over. A couple of years ago, especially sort of pre-COVID. They were a side which would walk into a field against any team and expect to win, and that would generally be the case. The last few years, a couple of teams have managed to beat them, and therefore sort of that little bit of an aura, that sort of unbeatableness about the All Blacks is starting to sort of fade. And if they want to try and sort of become, I still think they're one of the World Cup favourites because they're the All Blacks, but they need to start re-establishing that aura, and going and beating Argentina in Argentina is a nice way to start doing that. As sort of Ian Foster continues to really find his strongest side. A couple of interesting selections from both sides. Before we look at the two teams, please do smash like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. We'll start with the home side, which is Argentina. And quite an interesting team. A couple of big names on the bench. A big absentee in the likes of Marcus Kremer, who's out for suspended for the Rugby Championship due to a red card. But it's an interesting side. So if you look at the front row, Thomas Gallo continues his sort of his international journey. He's somebody who's gotten up to grips very quickly and is growing in leaps and bounds. He's next to Julio Montoya, the captain, and Lucio Sordoni makes his first appearance in a while actually. He last played against New Zealand in 2020. Has sort of been on the fringes ever since, and is now back in the side and back in the starting lineup as well. Just the three caps to his name. In the second row, very experienced, Matias Alemano and Thomas Lavanini, who is always a bit of a walking card, but does come with 78 caps, and we kind of know exactly what we get out of those two. So it's sort of pretty good tight five. Interesting to see how Sordoni goes. Pretty inexperienced props, but I think Thomas Gallo for me is very much the real deal. Speaking of the real deal, Pablo Matera in the number 6 jersey, Jean-Martin Gonzalez. I mean, the Springbok fans will know what he did to really last year, how exciting a player he is. And then Rodrigo Bruni rather at 8th man there. So no Marcus Kremer is the big absentee. We've been interesting to have seen. Probably would have seen Marcus Kremer in the 7. Matera potentially moving to the 8. Jean-Martin Gonzalez going to the 6, or they could have rejigged quite a lot there. Gonzalo Bertrand will bring up his 50 if cap when he runs out at starting number 9, and he's next to Santiago Carreras, who has one of my favorite players to watch. Not your traditional fly half, but very much doing a phenomenal job for Argentina, and very exciting type of player, especially when he gets going. The two wings, Mateo Carreras and Batista Delgui. Not too much experience in the likes of Carreras, but Delgui's approaching that 30 cap mark, so decent there. Lucio Cinti continues his sort of rise in international rugby. He's next to the very experienced Matheus Moroni at outside centre. Then off the bench, the evergreen Augustin Clevi will be making his 98th appearance for his international side. And they're going to need that experience because Michael Vivas and Eduardo Bello have just 27 caps between them. Very inexperienced bench. Pedro Rubio, for example, is playing just a second game in Argentina's shirt. Santiago Grondona making his 11th appearance. Basil Valles Latura is also just the 3 caps for him, but thankfully a lot of caps in the likes of Nicolas Sanchez and Matthias Orlando on the bench, who will provide a lot of experience. I mean, Nicolas Sanchez making his 96th appearance, Orlando well over 50 caps as well. In terms of the New Zealand side, this is how they will line up. So it's an interesting side, and the big news for me is DAMIAN MCKENZIE at 10. But they're missing quite a few players, and interesting to sort of understand the thinking behind them. There hasn't been much sort of an update on who is unavailable and stuff like that. But if we look at it, so in the front row, Ethan de Groot, Dane Coles, Tyrell Lomax, no Samasoni Takawao, who's quite a sort of big absentee in the number 2 jersey. So the very experienced Dane Coles will start there. Scott Barrett has got Josh Lord next to him. Josh Lord playing just his 3rd test, so very much looking to sort of build that experience. I mean, at the end of the day, no Brody Talib or Sam Whitelock, but you know what you're going to get out of those two. For me, the issue, I suppose, with the All Blacks comes with how do you get those two and Scott Barrett into a starting lineup. The loose trio, Shannon Frizzell, Sam Cane, and Artie Sevilla, it's pretty tried and tested players, really. Sam Cane continues to captain, as he continues to accumulate those caps. Artie Sevilla, one of the best number 8s in the world. Aaron Smith will make his 115th appearance as he continues to sort of become one of the most all-clap players of all time, really. But interesting enough, Damian McKenzie in at 10, and I think that's an interesting move. I think against Argentina it's a good move. And at the end of the day, 3 very good options at 10 in Beauden Barrett, Richie Mo'unga, and Damian McKenzie. And I'm very keen to see how McKenzie goes and whether they're looking at him as a bit of an ace up the sleeve, sort of going, well, we haven't been playing brilliant rugby the last few years, but so we need to cut something a bit different, and he can kind of maybe be that point of difference. Caleb Clark, Emoni Narawa, the 2 wings, Narawa on the bench. So interesting to see how he does go. No Stevenson, for example. A lot of people very, very upset to not see him. No Mark Tellier, which is also quite a big absentee there. In the centre, Geordie Barrett, inside centre. I think that's where he will settle. Jack Goodhue playing for the All Blacks 15. Big Jack Goodhue fan, so I quite like to have seen him there. Enrico Awani at outside centre. I still think he's a better wing, but he settled outside centre, and that's the plan. Beauden Barrett will overtake Dan Carter as the second most capped All Black of all time, as he goes to 113 test, just 2 behind Aaron Smith. I think we all know that Beauden Barrett will probably finish as the most capped All Black of all time when he does hang up his boots. Then off the bench, Cody Taylor, Opatunga Fasi, Nepalua Lala, very, very experienced front row. So if things are going wrong with Ethan de Groot and Tyrell Lomax, you're not newbies to the environment. They can bring on some very experienced operators in the likes of Tunga Fasi and Lualala. Cody Taylor playing some very good rugby as well. Tupo Vai, Delta Papali'i, the other 2 reserve forwards. Then the exciting Finley Christie, Richie Mo'unga, and Braden Enna, who continues to sort of meteoric rise. Had a very good Super Rugby and is being backed in this game as well. Let me know what your score predictions are down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen. I'll chat to you soon.